So let's get straight into our debate now. Obviously, as sexual orientations change and come out into the open, laws have to change alongside. But can you really compare crimes that women are at the receiving end of with men? Let's get straight started with the Additional Solicitor General Indra Jaising joining us tonight, but speaking tonight in her personal capacity as one of our best-known lawyers and feminist voices. Ms. Jaising, some very interesting proposals in that draft bill, but what struck me was this whole concept of making sexual assault gender neutral. Now, many people would argue that yes, occasionally men may be sexually harassed by women, but you can't really compare that with sexual assault or rape against women. That this is really apples to oranges in a sense. How do you see this proposal?
Well, it's a very good question. There is only one answer to that question, and that is, it presupposes that the government is proposing to repeal Section 377, that is the anti-sodomy law, which, as you know, has been declared to be unconstitutional by the Delhi High Court. So there can be only one reason, and one reason alone, to make it gender neutral: if consensual sexual behavior between two adult men is now no longer criminal, then you have the need to introduce a law which criminalizes non-consensual male sex between two adult men, which is the only reason to make it gender neutral. I think if they're not planning to repeal it, then it need not be gender neutral. So I would strongly hope that 377 will be repealed as part of this package deal.
Indra, that's a hugely important point, that obviously once you've decriminalized homosexuality, and if that stays, then obviously you have to address the issue of men perpetrating sexual violence against other men. But the specific proposal that may irk some is the fact that women too are now potentially seen as perpetrators of sexual violence, whether against other women, against other men, or children. How do you see that?
I don't. I think that's utter rubbish. And it's like a contradiction, because, you know, I mean, if you look up the definition of rape, it involves some form of penetration. And as I said, the only reason I can see for making it gender neutral is if you're going to remove 377. Incidentally, Barkha, I think a very, very major issue is going to be the whole issue of marital rape. And I can't see the point of going for changes in the definition of rape if you're not going to make marital rape criminal. It isn't as of today. There is an exception. In other words, if a man rapes his own wife, it's not a crime. Where's the logic in that? I mean, what's the point of going gender neutral if you can't even handle rape by husbands of their own wives? And, you know, it's a common phenomenon.
Important point, and so much of sexual violence takes place within the four walls of the bedroom. We'll come back to you, Indra. Ashok Rakavi, how do you see these proposed changes? Because Indra makes the important point that, in a sense, decriminalizing homosexuality has led to some obvious needed changes in the law.
Yeah, I think it flows naturally from reading down Section 377. Because if there's gender equity there, then you'll have to carry it forward here. But there is an issue here, because a lot of people think that women can't rape men. It could be a ground for harassment.
Yeah.
I do think that women can sexually assault children, because if they sort of broaden out the definition of what rape is, like insertion of fingers, foreign objects, whatever, I think women are as capable of violence, sexual violence, as men are.
That's a very important point, because in fact the draft does seek to broaden the definition of rape and not make it only defined by penetration or penetrative intercourse. And you are thus saying that once that definition is expanded, women can be perpetrators as well.
Yeah, there are, of course, Barkha, I don't want to speak on behalf of lesbians, but many of my lesbian colleagues and friends are skeptical of this law of gender equity in rape. They think it will be used for harassment of women.
Tuba.com